What's up, YouTube? Robert the Coroner Drapp here. I'm back again. It's been 2 weeks, and I cannot wait anymore. If you haven't seen The Last Jedi, guess what? I'm going to spoil it for you. We're going to start out by talking about the wonderful things that this movie did. I'm going to say straight out the gate, the cinematography was amazing. The wonderful work by Carrie Fisher and many of the actors that were not named in this movie were quite fantastic, especially the new character of Rose, who was an Asian like maintenance person, very much like Finn, having come from kind of the background of the Resistance to sort of form a love interest with Finn. Now, for me, I really can't remember how The Force Awakens ended for Finn, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. We're going to get there anyway. So, we start out with the fact that the First Order has found the rebellion. They have found the Resistance base. They have to run. The Resistance will die, and there's a dreadnought that comes in. So this is all about to go very far south. So Poe Dameron jumps in a X-wing, flies out there as quick as he can, gets right in front of the dreadnought. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm looking for Hux. What's up? Can somebody put me in front of him? Can somebody let me talk to him?" And Hux is like, "This is I'm Hux. I'm this great person, and I am a great commander, and I will kill you. You're going to be so dead." And he's like, "Nah, yeah, sure, fine. Whenever Hux gets a minute, could you put him through? I'll hold." So he's stalling. And as he's stalling, the Resistance is boarding ships, getting on a massive carrier, and trying to fly away. Now, this again in turn puts a ticking clock mechanism on the entire movie. And while having such a thing is a great tension, and especially sets up a subplot for the Finn Rose storyline to kind of hang that on, it doesn't give a whole lot more for the movie to do other than talk about Rey and her path and her purpose being to not learn from, because I thought at the end of the first one she was going to go to Luke Skywalker to receive training in the Force, but no, she was going to Luke to ask for his aid in the rebellion. And actually, one of the first things that I found rather funny in this movie was they talk about Rey and her scene at the end of Force Awakens, where she hands the lightsaber that Obi-Wan had given to him before to Luke, and he takes it, looks at it, pitches it over his shoulder, just no, and walks away. Doesn't say anything, walks away. And she retrieves it. She starts talking at him about joining the Resistance, about helping the rebellion, about helping them, survive. Because without him, what chance do we have? And the kind of the backstory for Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, comes out in that Luke had vehemently said, "No, I'm not gonna join the Resistance. I'm not gonna do this. It's not gonna happen." And therefore, it gives something for Rey to kind of doubt and kind of put in the back of her head and wonder what's going on. And this also gives a chance for Kylo to reach into her mind, because they start seeing each other. They start seeing, like, sitting across from each other. And the very first time it happens, Rey just reaches over and goes to shoot him. She just whoop, and it doesn't do anything to him because he's not really there. It's all in her head. She's having this vision of seeing him, and he is having the same vision of her. So they can see each other and interact with each other a little bit, but they can't harm each other. And they start talking about Kylo's past and what happened when Luke had built the Jedi temple there where it had originally stood, the first Jedi temple. And this also gives a chance for Rey to begin exploring her powers, and she starts talking to Luke, and Luke's like, listen, no, the Jedi have to end. It's time for it to go. It's over. There are no more Jedi. I'm the last. And it's time for it to go. Fade away. And so this also gives Kylo motivation to continue pushing. And Rey believes that she can turn him because she senses the conflict within him. Apparently, her force sensitiveness is such that she can see the future. She has the clairvoyancy. And I didn't hate it that they introduced this mechanic, but it did kind of, at certain points, go, okay, you want to do this? You want to keep trying to say that she's going to turn to the dark side? Why? But we also have the sub-story, the subplot of Poe Dameron butting heads with Princess Leia, and her during the fight with the Dreadnought, one of those the shots hits the bridge, and I thought this was the point because Carrie Fisher is dead. She's no longer amongst the land of the living. That they were going to go on ahead and let her die. That this was going to be the point where we were finally going to get to say, rest in peace, Princess Leia. Goodbye, Space Mom. We love you. But no. Apparently, her force powers are such the fucking point that she can survive the goddamn vacuum of space and fucking fly. I shit you not. She fucking flew. Like, what the shit is that? Why? Why would you not let her die at that point? Okay, fine. Yeah, it doesn't tell a great story, but having the fact we're trying to maybe branch away from the Skywalkers as much as we can, why not have Princess Leia just die in a battle? She couldn't do anything about it. Let it go. Let her die. Let her rest in peace. It'd be fine. Her body could be retrieved and put into, a proper casket and given a proper send-off, and that would motivate the resistance. Why not? Oh, yeah, that's right, because they don't want to get away from the Skywalkers, which is going to come up here in a minute. So this entire plot with Finn and Rose actually comes to a head because they have to, in order to get onto the Snoke's personal carrier, they have to have a code breaker who is identified by this little flower thing on his lapel. He always wears it, apparently. And so they got to go hunt him down, and he's in this high-end casino. I mean, very nice. The richest of rich shits. So they land on the planet. They go into the casino. They land on the casino, land on the beach. They don't even care. They land on the beach, run in, go into the casino. They finally see the guy. And they also see this dirt track where these alien monsters are being ridden by what appears to be humanoid creatures, and they're being whipped and they're being beaten. And you can also see very much like how some trainers treat their horses that aren't entirely built for that yet, or aren't ready for that yet. They beat them, and they have little stable boys that are all human, which was another point. It's like, why not have some alien kids, It's fine. You can get away from being human. I wanted more alien. Didn't get a lot of alien. I got like 80-90% human in this movie. It pissed me off. It's like, okay, yeah, no, that's not a big deal breaker, and it's not really that big a deal. But come on, guys, it wouldn't have been that hard for you to stick like 10 more aliens in every scene, or maybe every fourth scene. But getting away from that, we have them actually locating the guy and getting arrested for parking on the beach. Now, they're put in a jail cell, and this is where we run into the thief. We don't ever really know his name, but he's played by Benicio del Toro, which I like Benicio del Toro. I really do. He's a smug, smarmy jackass, and it very much works with a lot of the characters that he plays. So I roll with it. It's very good. This also, in turn, puts around that he can get him out of there. He can do it all. So he's in the jail cell with him. He reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a card. He puts it into the lock outside and opens the jail cell, and they escape. BB-8 is also with them. So BB-8 gets a few more moments of hilarity, of funny in there. It was especially funny when they had a little gnome-looking alien who was hammered because he still had like the martini glass and he was drinking and he was puking and it was ugh. But he kept putting coins into BB-8 because there was big round ball slot machines that they'd showed a section before, and I guess he thought that's what those were, that BB-8 was. So he starts feeding coins into them, and later those coins are shot at guards. I don't know who you are or what you wear, but unless it's like Kevlar and you get a coin hucked at you by a little fucking ball that's just shooting them out like brrr, you're gonna not be alive anymore. Just not gonna be. Bullets aren't sharp point. Not all of them. Most of them are blunt. That quick moving metal projectile just could punch through your armor. But no, they let them live. Fine, whatever. Don't care. Moving on. The thief, having broken out of the jail, it just takes BB-8 and he's going. He's running. And Finn and Rose go a different direction. They actually go down into the stables, in the sewers, and get into the stables. And when they get to the stables, that's where they release some of the racing animals, and the children are there. And she shows that she's part of the resistance by turning a ring that she was wearing, and it shutters open to show the Jedi symbol. And I thought that was really cool. This then turns around them riding one of them. She's having a lot of fun with it because, again, her backstory is revealed to be that her and her sister grew up on the stories of the rebellion, and that they could maybe one day hope to join, and that they could get away from being slaves. And it turned out that they did. It was actually really cool. But the problem being that now we have Rose writing these things, and the cops are after him, obviously, and they go through a cornfield. They almost fall off a cliff, and they try and get away, and they do, because the thief that had stolen a ship, goes and picks him up with BB-8, and he's got a bit of a stammer, like but he speaks English, so. The whole ticking clock mechanism also gives the question that they could, because they're still being chased by because the resistance is still being chased by the First Order. They don't have a dreadnought anymore because Rose's sister, who we never learn her name, dies helping to kill the dreadnought, and they experience severe losses, and Poe Dameron is now confronted with, he wants to keep doing things that would be heroic in the moment, but overall are just risky and stupid and pointless. But that's what he wants to do. That's what his motivation is. And I can't say that I hate it because for a lot of the movie, he's just trying to do what's right, and he had helped get them away from he had helped Finn and Rose get away from the rebellion, had helped them sneak away so they could go do the thing on Snoke's cruiser. But now that this whole ticking clock is in, they only have enough fuel for one light speed jump, and the whole fuel thing is rapidly draining. And so this gives Poe the motivation to keep them there, keep them from running away, because it then comes out that the leader of their resistance, who is a famous actress that I don't remember at the moment, and I don't want to look it up, but she's trying to keep everybody safe. She knows what she's doing. She's very authoritative, and it very much works for her in her character. And she's working with everybody else, but she tells Poe that he needs to get away from this. He needs to stop being so impulsive. And, not listening. Not even a little bit. But it's okay, because in the end, she loads everybody on the escape pods, and she had Poe tased, so he was out for a minute. He gets back up. Everybody's getting on the ships. Everybody's trying to leave, and he gets up and he's like, "Listen, I relieve you of command," because he's got like 4 or 5 guys with him. They all agree with him, so he takes control of the bridge, locks it down, and he's holding the ship there and stopping the fueling of the transports, so that way he can hold the light speed, because they've got because Finn and Rose have the code breaker. He says he can do it. They get on board and they do get on board the Snoke's vehicle. Now this also brings Rey, because Rey decides, okay, I have to go to Kylo. I've learned some things about myself through meditating with Luke, and there was a couple funny scenes where she earns the wrath of the locals, but she kind of learns that she's very powerful, and she's just as powerful as Ben Solo. And that's also what leads the story of Luke having tried to kill Kylo before he turned, and him doubting himself and him blaming himself for such a thing happening. Now, she goes to Kylo and basically says, "Okay, you are not a bad person. We can fix this. We can bring you back." And so he actually takes her before Snoke, and he's about to kill her, or at least that's what Snoke says. Snoke's, and she tries to kill Snoke. Snoke takes the lightsaber, just force pulls it and sets it down right beside him, and there was a point where she had been on her knees, and she pops up and tries to force grab the lightsaber. It whizzes past her shoulder, comes back around, smacks her in the head, and goes back to the side. It's like, that was pretty funny. It's like, okay, you think that's gonna work? Nope, I'm not that stupid. I actually know I'm not a dummy. I know you want to try and kill me. I know this is all going to happen. I'm 5 moves ahead of you, and I can see that he wants to kill his worst enemy. And it turns out, he strikes his lightsaber, and you can see him force move the saber on his side to point at Snoke. He does it slowly. And Snoke's talking about how he forced the rift in, like, the uncertainty in Kylo Ren, and he bridged their minds that so that they could talk, so he could bring her here, so he could kill her, have her killed or turned. So, and I mean, he's he's messing with her, he's hurting her in the midst of doing all of the talking, and Kylo's standing there with her on her knees, facing him, and he's turned the lightsaber towards Snoke sideways, and Snoke's very, oh, I can see this. He's about to do it. He's gonna strike the saber, and he's gonna kill his worst enemy, and then he strikes the saber right beside Snoke, cutting him in half because he then calls it to him, and Rey catches the lightsaber, so that cuts Snoke in half. The Red Guard that was standing there, just absolutely all weapons ready to kill him. Starts fighting with both of them. And it's a wonderfully choreographed scene. It's beautiful. Everything about that showed that they were very skilled fighters using what they had. And there was even a point where Rey threw the lightsaber to Kylo, and Kylo struck and killed the guy that was right behind him. And they're working together. They fight off all the Red Guard. They kill them all. And the lightsaber falls to, I think it fell to the ground. And so he's standing there. He's like, listen, we could hang the entire Jedi Order. Jedi, Sith, it doesn't matter anymore. Join me. Snoke's dead. Snoke, no more. But you and me, we could rule the galaxy together. Just take my hand. Be with me. And this inevitably leads to an interesting point. I didn't know that a lightsaber could explode. They are both trying to pull it, and as they're pulling, I guess the strain of the Force trying to pull with the crystal inside that's a focal point for the Force. It's heating. You can actually see it glowing in the center, and then it explodes, knocks out Kylo Ren, giving Rey the chance to escape. And Kylo pins it on Rey that she came in, she overpowered him, killed Snoke and the Red Guard, and ran. But the fun part also on board is that Finn and Amy and the translator the codebreaker get caught because he gives them up. The codebreaker turns them in for money, proving that even while he had said, "Oh, there is no such thing as good or bad," these people here at this casino sold weapons to both sides, so there's no moral. It's all gray. You just do what you can to make your own living be okay. And I gotta say, I don't really agree with that point, that would have worked at all, but you never know. It could have. And so we have now them about to be executed by Phasma. Phasma shows back up again. And there's actually a really nice fight scene between her and Finn. He doesn't have a lightsaber, but he's got like this club, this mace, and she's got a spear. So that was a really good scene, very well choreographed. The fun part is because all the resistance ships they thought they couldn't be, all the little transport ships, they thought they couldn't be seen because they're too small. When the codebreaker gave them up, he also gave up the little ships. So the cloaking device that they used, they were instantly seen. And so the commander turns the big transport vehicle around to face them and programs a jump to light speed right straight through them. Clips left side. This also begins to deteriorate Snoke's vehicle, which was what was shooting, doing the most of the shooting. And with this explosions and everything happening around, while Phasma and Finn are fighting, Amy's shooting. I'm sorry, Rose. I keep saying Amy. I don't know why. Rose keeps shooting various little stormtroopers, and then an AT-AT walker. Well, not the AT-AT, the thinner one. I don't know which one that one is. The two-legged little double-gunned thing starts shooting, and I thought it was going to start shooting at them, but it was actually shooting at all the stormtroopers, and it rips away from the bay it's in to reveal the top just falling off, and it's BB-8 inside, targeting and shooting everything. So Rose jumps on board. Finn kills Phasma. She falls into a pit when part of the floor falls away. And they head for the Imperial ship that's at the other end. That's going to be their escape. They get there, they fly away. They're flying to the nearest planet, which is where all of the Resistance was going in the first place. Had Finn and Rose not gone in there and gotten the codebreaker, and the codebreaker hadn't betrayed them, it would have given way to the Resistance getting onto that planet all safe and sound, minus the fact that they would have probably lost the commander lady that had sacrificed herself to stay on board. And so on this really crazy planet, they have kind of the final scene. And also, I know I neglected to mention this a little earlier. After Kylo and Rey kill Snoke and all the Red Guards, it's revealed that Kylo says in kind of a monologue from Kylo, he's like, "I know your parents' past. I know who they were. They were drunks. They were alcoholic junkers who sold you into slavery for a quick fix. That they died in a pauper's grave on Jakku." No, I don't buy that. One, the way he said it. He said it very quickly. He said it very emphatically. He repeated himself. He made it sound like she was nothing, but he was amazing, and he thought she was amazing, so she should think she's amazing, I guess. And that she should be by his side because while she had come from nothing, she could be greater because she aligns with him. And that's also kind of where they start fighting. But number two, okay, yeah, I get you want to get away from the Skywalker storyline. Fine. Don't care. Good. Please. But the way you said it makes it sound like you're lying, like you know that she's Luke's daughter. And it would be fine, I feel. Like, she survived. She survived the Jedi training slaughter that Kylo put through. And because he couldn't face that failure, because Luke couldn't deal with that, he wipes her memory, puts her on Jakku, tells her he'll be back someday, and leaves. And that part sticks. That, oh, my parents are coming back. Oh, they'll be back. Well, yeah, they're not coming back because, well, he can't face it. Maybe he thought he could. Maybe he thought after a while, after a period of time, he would be okay with dealing with this failure that he went through. And there was a point where Yoda shows the fuck up as a Force ghost. And Luke's like, no, the Jedi are done. I'm going to burn the sacred tree. I'm going to burn the text. It's all going to be gone. I'm done. There are no more Jedi. I am the last. I can't take this anymore. So he's got a flare in his hand. He's lit it, and he's standing at the thing. And Yoda shows up. He's like, oh, hey, Skywalker, what's up? Oh, I'm going to do this. Don't try to stop me. Really? You're going to do this? Okay. And Luke doesn't move. So Yoda uses the Force to call lightning down onto the tree, strikes the tree, lights it on fire. It's all burning, and Luke drops the flare. He drops the flare, like throws his cape in front of him and tries to go in the tree, but a backdraft flops out and pushes him away. He's like, man, I failed so much. I've made so many mistakes. He's like, but you learned from those mistakes, yeah? That's what you have to teach Rey. That's what you have to show Rey. That even though you made mistakes, because nobody's perfect, that they can grow beyond that. That the Jedi Order can withstand the mistakes that they've made. It's not that hard. You just teach her that lesson, and she can't. If she falls to the dark side, where the whole thing is over, and she doesn't. So that was wonderful. I think one of the best scenes in the movie has to be at the end when they're on the planet, and Rose, Finn, and Poe are all trying to stop this big battering ram cannon. And so Luke shows up. Don't know how he showed up. Just he shows up. Shows up, goes out there. He's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to finish this. I'm going to stop him. So he goes out there. He walks out onto the field. He's, upright. He's very Obi-Wan. And he gets out there and he's standing there, and Kylo, with Snoke dead, and having assumed the role of Supreme Leader, he then turns and fire everything you got at him. Get him. Do it now. And they, just everything, all the cannons, just do more, more, everything. And because the planet is like got a top layer of salt on top of the red rock surface, it's just throwing up this plume of red smoke, red dust. Luke stands there, and when the dust clears, Luke's alive. He walks out. Really? Really? That's what you're doing. That's what you got. So he's like, lower the door. I'm gonna go kill him. Don't let anybody else back in here. And Hex is like, are you sure that's a good idea? I don't think you should. Whap! He hits the wall. He's just slammed into the wall. And the guy in front of him, okay, you want to go out there? Go. Yes, sir. He busts out his lightsaber. He walks out there. He busts out his lightsaber. You think you're gonna get me to come back? No. Busts out his lightsaber. He doesn't even swing at him though. Like, he's doing fancy avoiding just to piss him off. And Kylo's like, you can't beat me. I'm so much better than you are. The Jedi will be dead. I'm gonna kill you, and that's gonna be it. I'm gonna be the best. Wow. That's amazing. Everything you said was wrong. Every word in that last sentence was wrong. The Jedi aren't dead. because I'm not the last Jedi. The rebellion will rise again because of this day. You created the rebellion. You have empowered them with what you've done here today. You can't win. Even if you strike me down in anger, I will always be there with you, just like your father. And this pisses him off, and I guess because he just stood there. Like Kylo comes across and like slices him in half. He turns around. Luke is still just standing there. He turns his head, points his lightsaber out, walks forward. It pushes right through Luke's chest. But it doesn't hurt him. Because you see, he's actually still at the Jedi Temple. He's projecting, he's force projecting himself so much, so hard. He's actually levitated off the ground in a lotus pose. And you can see the sweat dripping as the sun's setting. He's just all this, and then he lets it go. He lets the projection go, and everybody inside the building that they had just barbecued the door of has escaped on the Millennium Falcon with Rey. The crazy part is he finds Han's dice. Kylo goes through the base and he finds Han's dice that he had hung, the gold ones he had hung in the Millennium Falcon. He picks it up and it vanishes. We get a scene of Luke, all that strain. He's huffing and puffing and he's pained, and he gets back up onto the little bench or altar or whatever you want to call it that was right there at the Jedi Temple, the center. He sits back down in lotus pose. He watches the sunset, and then he gone. So Luke, aka Mark Hamill, will not be in the next Star Wars movie. And it looks very much like they're trying to get away from it by showing a small child at the very end who gets to see through the night sky the Millennium Falcon going light speed, that streak across the sky. And he had force picked up the broom. He had force pulled the broom, and he's sweeping, and on his hand was the ring that Rose had worn. We don't know if Rose is dead because she crashed her little jump plane that was going after the battering ram into Finn to stop him from dying, because he was just because they had powered it up. It was seconds away from firing, and she just comes in kamikaze style and smashes into his to keep him from going into the center and blowing it up by sacrificing himself. So we don't know if she's dead. We don't know if she's alive. We think she's alive. She just might be in a coma. But what a movie. What a great, great film. I didn't stick around long enough to see if there was a post-credit scene, because it was like 11:45 and my husband had to be up at noon. At 2:30 to be at work at 3. So I don't know. But I'll tell you this, even if there was, I don't know that it could have been that great. I don't know if it could have been that important. But I do know, I appreciate your watching. Please like, comment, share, throw it on Twitter, because that's what I'm doing now, as I'm sure you saw with the other videos I've posted. And I will see you all next time.